Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Fight, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. So, we had some really strange games over the last couple of days. Tons of runs being scored on a lot of games. There was a game in Colorado. It was just insane. I guess the Pirates scored like 9 runs in the first inning, and they lost. They lost. There was another game where it was the Reds versus the Braves, where it was 16 runs were scored in the 8th inning, and the Braves were up by 8 runs, and then the Reds scored 8 runs on Thursday, and then the Braves won in extra innings, which was unbelievable. And then obviously, like I said, Friday was just an insane game. Now the Mets lost on Friday. Unfortunately, they're not hitting it the way they should be hitting. The Fabulous Four have been like the Frightful Four, to be honest with you. The Fabulous Four. But the Yankee game. The Yankees were winning 6-0 and then 9-4, and they lost the game, and they lost to the Marlins. Point out something about the Marlins. They were only 2 games under 500. So they played fairly well. It's not a situation where they played poorly. But you don't normally lose 6-run leads and 5-run leads late in the game. And all the culprits that lost the game for the Yankees, all players on Friday that they all picked up on Thursday. The only guy that they brought in that had played well in that game was Ryan McMahon. Everybody else played like shit. And seeing the Yankee fans melt down. They've not stopped melting down, folks, since the great Juan Soto signed with the Mets. And I think they're beside themselves at this point. I don't feel sorry for them, but, whatever. That's from Awful Announcing. Michael Not Okay, and Paul O'Neill racked the Yankees' worst loss of the year. Quote, "You get to a point where you just can't make this up." The Yankee broadcasters were beside themselves, I guess, on Friday, not believing their eyes. Friday night's game against the Marlins wasn't simply a loss for the Yankees. It was a nightmare. Great. Calling the game for the Yankees on Yes was Michael Not Okay and Paul O'Neill, and they made that clear. Things started great for the Yankees, who opened up a 6-0 lead, and while the Marlins cut that to 6-4 in the 6th inning, the Yankees responded with 3 in the top of the 7th inning to go up 9-4. That's when things got really bad for the Yankees. Jake Bird, making his debut with the Yankees, recorded only 1 out before allowing a grand slam to Kyle Stowers. Boy, oh boy. At that point, Aaron Boone went to another new Yankee, David Bednar. I mentioned about Bednar. First of all, he's pitched poorly. He's got, in the last month or so, he's got an ERA over 7. Plus, he's never pitched in a big spot. He's never pitched in a pressure situation. For a big team. He's always been in Pittsburgh. You never know how these pitchers are going to perform when you put them in a big spot, especially when they're on a bad team for a long time. Bednar had historically struggled in Miami's Lone Depot Park, something Not Okay noted. O'Neill, though, suggests that maybe a change of uniform would fix the problem. 1 pitch later, he surrendered a game-tying homer. Well, there you go. That's great analysis right there. Yeah, let's put a different uniform on the guy, and then right now we'll see that. Michael Not Okay and Paul O'Neill and David Bednar at Lone Depot Park. Quote, "He has a 7.04 ERA in 9 games and thrown right into the fire and and now a nail-biting game." It's from Not Okay. O'Neill says this: "He's got a different uniform on now, Mike. That's going to change his luck." It didn't change anything. Did not change a damn thing. The Marlins scored 1 more off of Bednar in the 7th, taking the lead. The Yankees, though, tied the game with Anthony Volpe, and when he homered. After Bednar's pitch, they scoreless 8th inning. New York scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to take a 12-10 lead. It was then time for Camilo Doval, another new acquisition, the former closer of the San Francisco Giants, to come on to close the game. It did not happen. When Doval retired the first hitter he faced, the next 2 men reached base with a single and a walk. Miami's Xavier Edwards then wrapped a single to right field. While bad for the Yankees, it was not a complete disaster until Jose Cabrera, also making his debut for the Yankees, let the ball go under his glove. Javier Sonojo and Jacob Marseille both scored to tie the game for the Marlins, while Edwards got to third base. O'Neill and Kay could not sugarcoat what they saw. Quote, Michael, you get to a point where you just can't make this up, O'Neill said. I mean, the ball gets by, the base hits, the runners are running. It's like a Little League game out there. This whole game, Paul, kind of has the feel of you're having a bad dream and you cannot wake up. Not okay, added later. This is funny. Because it didn't happen to the Mets, thank God. Not yet. And it only got worse. Well, it only got worse. The next hitter, Augustin Ramirez, managed only a swinging bunt. The ball not even reaching the infield grass before Austin Wells could corral it. It went far enough, though, as Edwards crossed the plate without a serious tag attempt, scoring the winning run. Quote, it is hard to believe what we just watched. Oh, my goodness. What a loss for the Yankees, Not Okay said. All three relievers that the Yankees acquired, that were so touted that the Yankees acquired, they all did not do their jobs tonight. And then it ends this way in a game that the Yankees led 6-0, and we keep digging new holes, Paul. And this one goes under the worst loss of the year. Boy, that tells you, that sums it up. But here's the thing, when you have bad losses, there can be a worse loss down the line, even worse than this. I remember a game they had 2 years ago. Clay Holmes was pitching in the ninth inning. They had a 5-run lead. And Holmes blew it, and they just scored like crazy off of him. That happens. And it seems to happen to the Yankees down there, which is not a surprise. That happens with the Mets, too, when they go down to Miami. They have these problems. They really do. Now, here's the other side of this broadcast, and this is the Marlins side. They had some fun. Obviously, it's not a great situation down there. They have no fan base. All the fans that were there at the ballpark were Yankee fans, and they had to sort of endure this, which was great. And the announcer, Tommy Hutton, I guess is the broadcaster for the Marlins, ripped into a Yankee fan, some sad Yankees fan. Headline from Awful Announcing again. Marlins announcer Tommy Hutton, savagely torn sad Yankees fan. Yankees had a mind-blowing collapse against the Marlins, and Tommy Hutton wasn't going to let them forget about it. Again, they don't have a fan base there. So all these other fans from all these other places come in, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Yankees, all the big fan base, the Braves, they all go down to Miami and they just take over the ballpark. So, these announcers, it probably irritates the announcers too, New York Yankees suffered a ninth inning collapse against the Marlins on Friday night, and analyst Tommy Hutton made sure to rub it in the face of the Yankees fans. Unsurprisingly, the Yankees had a lot of fans show up at the ballpark in Miami for their interleague series against the Marlins. After making multiple moves at the trade deadline, it appears that the franchise is going all in to chase down their elusive 28th World Series crown. However, the Yankees newbies got off to a rough start against the Marlins in a wild game, and we already talked about that. Obviously, Duvall pitched terrible, Bednar pitched terrible, Bird pitched terrible, Caballero pitched terrible, made a terrible play. On the Yes Network Yankees telecast, Michael Not and Paul O'Neill were disconsolate, calling it the worst loss of the season. On the FanDuel Sports Marlins telecast, analyst Tommy Hutton was in full celebration mode, especially when he had the opportunity to stick it to one very sad Yankee fan that was caught by their cameras. I would never be like this at a ballpark, ever. Like this, or like this. It would drive me crazy if I was caught on camera. They caught me on camera acting like, somebody died. Word to the wise on anyone who wants to support the visiting team at the home ballpark, your surrender Cobra will likely be shown on television if that team suffers a choke job, and if you support a team that is often accused of serving bandwagon fans and frontrunners, then that percentage goes up 100%. The commentary from Tommy Hutton isn't only hilarious, though, it's legendary. The Miami Marlins have multiple World Series to their name, but they're always going to be seen as one of the smallest fishes in the Major League pond because of their propensity for blowing it up and lack of overall fan support. So to have this comeback against the Yankees team, a lot of their fans in attendance, was probably extra sweet for the home crowd and clearly the home announcers. I mean, really, you cannot, see, if you're a fan of a team, you guys have some restraint. You gotta show some respect to the ballpark and to the other fans. You don't do it. I've never done that. And the times I've gone to a different city to watch the Mets or go with family to watch the Yankees. I never wear Met colors, never. Out of respect, and I don't want the annoyance. I don't want anybody bother me. Now, I went to Philadelphia back in September, but I didn't wear any of my Mets gear because I knew I wasn't with anybody. I didn't have anybody go with me that day. I didn't want to have any problems, especially if I was by myself. You know, especially when I was walking back to my car. I didn't want there to be a problem. But, you know, it's funny to see Yankee fans suffer. It's great. It really is wonderful to watch it. They deserve it. You know, this is going to be long suffering for them for a very long time. Everything is flipped. The script in New York is flipped. We expect big things from the Mets, and the Yankees are just sort of treading water, just in general sense. Now, they went to the World Series, but you know they weren't big teams last year in the American League. Now we'll see what happens this year. Hopefully, the Tigers can get off the mat a little bit, and we'll see what happens with the Blue Jays. If the Blue Jays can hold on and win the division, you know it's gonna be an interesting finish with about 50 games left for all the teams. But you let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut 2, and I'll see you later.